Hey guys, my name is Tejas and I'm studying in Sri Venkateswara College of Engineering. Today let's discuss about testing of hypothesis, level of significance and test of significance. Hypothesis testing. Hypothesis testing is a statistical method to make decisions or inferences about a population based on sample data. Determines whether there is enough evidence to reject a null hypothesis. Applications: medical research, business decisions, social sciences. Applications: hypothesis is used in medical research, such as clinical trials. Hypothesis testing is used to evaluate the efficiency of new drugs or treatments. For example, null hypothesis, which is denoted by H0. The new drug has no effect on reducing blood pressure. Alternative hypothesis H1. The new drug significantly reduces blood pressure. Diagnostic tests used to determine if a diagnostic test is reliable. For example, testing the sensitivity and specificity of a COVID-19 diagnostic kit. Epidemiological studies evaluate associations between risk factors and diseases. For example, testing if smoking increases the risk of lung cancer. Business decisions. Market research evaluate consumer preferences or test the impact of marketing strategies. For example, null hypothesis, which is denoted by H0. A new advertisement campaign does not increase sales. Alternative hypothesis. The advertisement campaign increases sales. Quality control. Test whether the production process meets quality standards. For example, H0. The mean diameter of machine produced screws is 10 mm. H1. The mean diameter is different from 10 mm. Pricing strategies analyze the impact of pricing changes on customer behavior. For example, testing whether the reducing the price of a product increases in sales. Social sciences, behavioral studies test hypotheses about human behavior, attitudes, and beliefs. For example, H0. There is no difference in stress levels between remote and on site workers. H1. Stress levels differ significantly between the two groups. Policy analysis evaluate the effectiveness of social policies or programs. For example, testing whether a new educational program improves student test scores. Sociological research examine relationship between variables like income, education, and social mobility. For example, testing whether there is a significant correlation between education level and income. The next topic is level of significance. The level of significance, which is denoted by alpha, is a threshold used in hypothesis testing to determine whether a result is statistically significant. It represents the probability of rejecting the null hypothesis when it is actually true, which is known as type 1 error. Key features: probability value expressed as a decimal or percentage, commonly 0.05, which is 5%, 0.01, which is 1%, or 0.10, which is 10%. Example: if alpha is equal to 0.05, there is a 5% risk of incorrectly rejecting a true null hypothesis. Decision criterion: compare the p-value calculated from the test statistic to level of significance. If p-value is less than or equal to alpha, reject H0. Evidence supports the alternative hypothesis. If p-value is greater than alpha, fail to reject H0. Evidence is insufficient to reject the null hypothesis. Type 1 and Type 2 errors. Type 1 error occurs when H0 is true but rejected, controlled by the level of significance. For example, false positive result in a medical test. Type 2 error occurs when H0 is false but not rejected, depends on sample size and test power, not alpha. For example, false negative result in a medical test. The next topic is test of significance. A test of significance is a statistical procedure used to determine whether the observed data provides enough evidence to reject a null hypothesis H0 in favor of an alternative hypothesis H1. It helps assess whether the results are due to chances or reflect a real effect. Key features: evaluate evidence, determines whether sample data supports a hypothesis about the population. Decision making helps research decides whether to reject or fail to reject the null hypothesis. The last one is control errors, minimizes the risk of type 1 and type 2 errors. Types of test of significance. The first one is parametric tests, based on assumptions about the population distribution, for example normality. The examples are z-test, for comparing means when population variance is known. The next test is t-test, which is used to comparing means when population variance is unknown. The next is ANOVA test, which is used when to compare means of more than two groups. The last test is F-test. It is used when to compare variances between two populations. The second test is non-parametric tests. Do not assume a specific population distribution suitable for ordinal data or data that violates parametric assumptions. For example, chi-square test. It is used to test independence or goodness of fit. Mann-Whitney U-test. It is used for comparing two independent groups. Wilcoxon-Syed rank test. It is used for paired samples. Conclusion: hypothesis testing and tests of significance are essential tools in statistical inference. They provide a structured framework for making decisions based on data, allowing researchers to determine whether observed patterns are meaningful or due to chance. The level of significance sets the benchmark for decision making, balancing the risk of errors. By using these methods, we can validate theories, guide practical decisions in fields like medicine, business, and social sciences, and ensure that conclusions are data driven and reliable. Ultimately, they form the backbone of science and analytical reasoning in research and real world applications.